Oh my is right. That is how you win a road trip on a winning note. As we welcome you here to Sixers Postgame Live, brought to you by Cure Auto Insurance. Amy Fiddle, Jim Lynam, and Jim. That was the bench we were showing there. Dwight Howard still getting up there with block at 35 years young. The young guy, Matisse, for a great finish. A nice way to cap this off and to get a win against a Cavaliers squad who's given them troubles this year.
Yeah, not the same Cavaliers squad at this point, Amy, but most impressive victory by the 76ers. I think they were really determined to kind of get rid of that taste of the poor performance against Denver. And I think they really did it with overpowering defense.
And they certainly did that. They score 114 points, and they only let the Cavs get 94 and one of those a bucket at the very, very end. Let's cross it over now and welcome in the gentleman who had the pleasure of calling this game. That would be Mark Zumoff and Ala Abdinabi. And guys, certainly good to get this win in this fashion. Doubt it seems like in this one, but the bench, Jim was just talking about it. As a whole, this team got to bad taste out of their mouths. But the bench especially, who had been struggling the last two games, really.
So to bear out your point, Amy, 65 points for the bench. That's a phenomenal total. 65 bench points to 26 bench points for Cleveland. And because the Sixers had a plus 15 rebounding and a plus 8 in the turnover department, they were able to take 13 more shots in the game. And as any basketball coach knows, more possessions than the opponent, a very valuable stat.
No question about it. When you have the ball in your hands more often and you're able to do things with it, of course they're going to lean your way. I thought the 76ers did a really good job blocking out that lane. It was one of our what-to-watches, our key to this ball, along with limiting the turnovers. But keeping the lane theirs and keeping guys like Sexton and Garland out of the lane, and I thought for the part they did that. You saw there were a couple times where they were able to get into the lane, but for the most part kept them out and didn't build from that. And I thought that was the key to tonight's game.
Guys, not only a winning record on the road, but a winning record without Joel Embiid. It looks like he's going to make a turn, hopefully, on Saturday when they return home to host the Timberwolves. What does it mean to you that this team was able to not only win games, but win games handily without their all-star center in the mix?
So I'll take a word that Ala Abdinabi often uses when a player is hurt: opportunity. So in this case, there are more shots to go around, whoever, a bigger role to be assumed by whoever. This had to be a bench or the bench in general. We've talked about Tobias Harris and his opportunities. I want to say something about Tobias Harris tonight. To your point about the Sixers keeping the Cavaliers out of the lane. He picked up 4 personal fouls. He only played 15 minutes. He really didn't have to play anymore because the bench took care of business. He was a help defender many times against Darius Garland, against Colin Sexton. That's the reason he got into foul difficulty. So he kind of sacrificed his own game for the good of the team. It really helped.
Did, and I thought it also set the tone in that this was the important thing to do tonight, and everything else will just kind of go on the back burner. We'll worry about that later. First priority, protecting our lane and keeping them out of it, and I thought everything else kind of came from that, because what happens is you take away Cleveland's biggest, which is penetration and getting into the lane, that forces them into their weaknesses, which is jump shooting. Sure, they knocked down a few, but throughout the course of 48, you're going to win that more often than not.
Yeah, absolutely, taking away their one strength, and that would be those points in the paint. The Sixers able to dominate and get the 20-point win. Joe, thanks so much. Welcome the guys back home on Saturday, and I'll see you then.
You got it.
All right, we're going to hear from Doc Rivers coming up on his team closing road trip with the win. And we'll take a look at those standings and where the Sixers sit right now. A virtual tie first place as the Bucks are off. Stick with us here on Sixers Postgame Live, brought to you by Cure Auto Insurance. That's right, you haven't heard this in a minute.